New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, who's going to talk about lead in drinking water, the basics, and particularly an undertaking that a lot of municipalities are going through right now is lead service line replacement. So, Alaina, let's hear a little bit more about that, and I'm sure that will prompt additional questions. So thank you for being with us.
Sorry, I clicked share and then my screen changed completely and I lost you guys for a second. Okay. Can everybody see?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry. My screen went away again. So hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Alaina Ungarini. I work at the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, and I focus on lead in drinking water. I implement a lot of the laws, regulations, and requirements that come out from both the state and federal government. So today we are going to talk about some basics of lead in drinking water. So just to talk a little bit about a brief history, lead has a long use of history in plumbing. They were actually using lead in drinking water in ancient Rome, believe it or not, to transport water in their aqueducts underground. It was a commonly used material actually up until the mid 1900s to use to transport water. Lead was banned in 1986 or 87 from use in plumbing. That came from EPA. But before that, many lead service lines were installed in the ground, and a lot of them are still in use today all over the nation, including New Jersey, and a lot of other states that were a little earlier to industrialize. Believe it or not, there are still a lot of lead service lines in the ground and in use today that were installed in the very early 1900s. And a common material for those is lead. So some health effects. I know Nudar went over these a little bit, so I won't repeat too much, but previously, EPA and New Jersey's focus was getting the word out about health effects that were affecting children, behavioral issues like Nudar mentioned, learning problems, issues for women who are exposed during pregnancy. But EPA and NJDEP, we've been putting the word out that these effects can happen to anybody of all ages. So it's not just children that we're concerned with, it's people of all ages, adults included in that as well. They could have issues with heart disease, high blood pressure, kidney or nervous system problems. So we wanted to get the word out about that. So a common way people have lead in their system is through their drinking water. I know lead paint is a common method as well, so I think somebody else is going to be talking about that a little bit. But as far as we're concerned, lead can come from your service line. So lead does not exist in water naturally, except in like some very rare cases, but it can be transferred into your drinking water through the service line, which is what's on this diagram here. So the service line is basically a pipe that transports water from the water main, which is in the street, into your home. There's some nuances with that. There can be like a difference in ownership. So in this diagram here, a portion of it is owned by the water system and a portion is owned by the property owner. So that can lead to some confusion and some issues sometimes because the water system is responsible for replacing the whole service line, but the ownership is kind of split. So that can always lead to a little bit of issues. But in New Jersey, which I'll talk about a little bit in the next slide, regardless of who owns the service line, it must be replaced by the water system and they must coordinate it. So we'll talk about that a little bit. So there are a few things that are governing lead service line replacements right now in New Jersey and nationwide as well. So in 2021, New Jersey passed the lead service line replacement law, which mandated the replacement of all lead service lines by 2031. In New Jersey, we actually also include galvanized service lines under the definition of lead because we found that a lot of galvanized service lines in New Jersey have either been downstream of a lead service line, and in that way they can absorb lead and then transport it later on or release it later on. Or there have just been some health issues associated with galvanized service lines in New Jersey, so they thought it was best to include those all together and mandate those all to be replaced by 2031. There are a lot of notification requirements associated with that law. So maybe some of you have gotten a letter in the mail from your water system in the last few years saying that you're served by a letter galvanized service line that is complements of the NJDEP's requirements, or the legislature's requirements, I should say, um, notifying people that they are served by a letter galvanized service line, some steps they can take to reduce their exposure to lead. It includes health effects of lead, as well as any opportunities you have to replace your service line. So that's included in those letters as well. So on the national level, EPA has actually just released, or finalized, I should say, the LCRI. There's two things we're kind of working with now. The LCRR, which is the lead and copper rule revisions, and the LCRI, which is the lead and copper rule improvements. Kind of similar. They both govern lead, but the requirements are a little bit more stringent in the LCRI. And so those both require many things that New Jersey has already been doing since 2021 when our law was passed, but a few more. It changes some of the requirements for sampling. It involves school sampling more, so we'll be able to get more information about any lead that is in schools. And it requires some more notification as well. So one of the things it requires is to send letters out to homeowners who have service lines of unknown material, because part of this requirement and New Jersey's requirement is to have a full inventory of every service line in your water system, which sounds like a huge undertaking, and it is. So part of the way that we want water systems to get that information is to solicit it from the homeowners. And we'll talk about that a little bit more, but that's a huge part of this. So there's a statewide effort going on right now to identify and replace service lines in New Jersey. DEP has been putting out information to supplement what water systems have been putting out. I know, for example, New Jersey American, I think I see their billboards up a lot in South Jersey. I forget what it says exactly, but it's like an Uncle Sam reference. You know, we want you to identify your service line. So that's going on currently. So every year, as I mentioned, an inventory is required for water systems to submit to us. And we just had those submitted to us over the summer. We've processed them, and recent data shows that we have over 100,000 unknown lead service lines. Again, that includes galvanized service lines as well, in New Jersey, and over 800,000 unknown service lines that still need to be identified. So one interesting thing is we see a lot of fluctuation between each year, because we've been doing this since 2021. So a lot of water systems might not have the best information in the first year. They have a huge number of unknowns, or they think that they have, a certain neighborhood identified as non-lead service lines. Then they'll do a little bit more research, and those numbers can change. Their unknowns go down, their lead service lines go up. There's a lot of fluctuation that goes on between each year, but this is all in an effort to identify and replace all lead service lines and improve drinking water quality in New Jersey for all of its residents. So here's a question I get all the time. What can I do to help? I'm just, a constituent. I don't have power over my water system or, power in government. So the biggest thing that we're recommending that people do at this time is to help identify your service line material. So like I said, there's a huge number of unknown service lines in New Jersey. And again, water systems are required to find out that information and submit it to us, and then go and identify the ones that have to be replaced. So this is just a simple graphic, kind of gives you a little idea of what some common materials are in New Jersey. So obviously we're looking for lead. It is a shiny silver color, usually kind of dull, very easily scratchable. So you can, take a coin and scratch it, or a key and scratch it. A magnet test is something that we also recommend people to use. So lead service lines will not be magnetic, but they will be kind of dull and easy to scratch. Kind of similar to that is a galvanized iron or steel pipe. These need to be replaced as well. They are also silver and grayer color, usually pretty dull. Sometimes they look like they've been like speckled a little bit. It's like a speckly metal. These are magnetic. So if you take a strong magnet up to them, it will be magnetic. Another common one is plastic. These are pretty easy to identify. It's plastic. It's usually white or black or gray. Does not contribute to lead in your water supply. So this would be a non-lead service line that would not require replacement. And then the last common one we have up here today is copper pipes. So these reveal, it looks like a shiny penny color. Sometimes they're dull or painted over, or they're older, you know, they've turned green, kind of like the Statue of Liberty. So you might need to give them a scratch to see what the metal is underneath. This will not work with a magnet, so you can tell that it's not a galvanized iron or steel pipe. And these do not contribute to lead in your water supply either. So this is considered to be a non-lead service line as well. So usually, let me actually go back really quickly to show better on this diagram. So typically, if you have a basement, that's where you can find your service line. It'll be after your shutoff valve, which is what you or a plumber would turn off when they're doing any sort of internal plumbing work. But you'll see usually that there is a pipe that feeds into the wall of your home or the ceiling of your basement or something like that. The shutoff valve will be there. Anything between the wall and your shutoff valve is considered to be your service line. Typically in the biz after your shutoff valve, we consider that to be internal plumbing. So what your water system is looking for is this little sliver of pipe right here that is between your wall and your shutoff valve. So you can take a look at these different materials and kind of determine what you have. And then we recommend that you contact your water system and report your lead service line materials or your service line materials to them because they are collecting that information and they should be providing you with an opportunity to do so. So that's all I had. Thank you very much. Were there any questions? I can't see the chat, so.
Thanks, Alaina. We're gonna aggregate the questions, I think,
Sure.
just to keep things. But I do have one though, for
Sure.
you. So for those on the call or maybe dealing with constituencies or clients who have not heard from their water providers, how can folks find out if beyond what you've presented, are they able to check with their water companies or water utilities to see if they are on the list or at risk?
Yes. So they are legally bound to send you a letter if they know that you have a lead service line. They're also legally bound to send you a letter if they don't know what your service line material is. So look out for those letters. The letters saying that we know you have a lead service line are usually sent out in the summer, and the letters that say that we're not sure what your service line material should be coming out in the next few weeks. They have to be sent out by the middle of next month. Water systems in New Jersey and actually across the nation now are also required to post their service line materials online. So sometimes that could be literally just the spreadsheet that they send to us, which is a little harder to navigate, but you should be able to look up your address on that. Some other larger private water systems have like an interactive portal that you can use and you can kind of poke around and see what the materials are for like your whole neighborhood on a like very easy visual way to see that. But that yes, they should be, if they serve a population of 3,300 or more, they are required to post their inventory online. And hopefully they should be providing you some information on that same website about how to help provide them information on what your service line is, have them come out and identify it for you, or give you some information on opportunities to replace your service line if it turns out you have a lead one.
Thank you, Alaina. That's really helpful. New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection.